Oh. Do you see that, Jacob? They've got aphid on you.
Welcome back to the channel, and let's just start with a 7-foot bull snake living outdoors in the UK. Some great footage sent in by my friend Chris Cartwright. Just enjoy this start to this week's video. Look at that. You got to say, it's so much better looking than if it was in a 6x2x2 vivarium. Outdoor keeping, if you have the space, is a whole new level, but as you'll see later on, it actually has some issues that I'd never even thought of. So getting a little bit samey. Just want to show you these guys when they're actually out. Look at that. Still in blue there. Both about to shed really. They just look so nice in the morning sunshine. Both in blue. probably why they're staying out. 4 lines, they definitely seem, as I've said many times, a bit shyer, even though they're big adults, than some of the other snakes. Look at that. And they've always been like that since I've had these in Vivaria. They've always been very much an animal that comes out and feeds at night. Very rarely saw them out in the day in their indoor enclosures. So much more in need of thermoregulation outdoors. They're out in the in the morning sunshine, as you'd expect, very much more like in the wild, but quick to retreat. Whereas the Russian rat snakes here, look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. They really don't care who's around. They just come out when they need to in this early morning sunshine. And when it heats up like it did the other day at 31 in the shade outside the Vivaria, the enclosure, they're all disappeared, of course. No snakes really like it to be baked alive. And there's the female up there. She's up in the branches catching some rays, look. So working out well there. I'll put some more in as we go along. The slow worms, a waste of time for public display, to be quite honest. So in the early spring, when it was very cold and the sun was out, they'd all line up on the front basking, but very crepuscular animals. And apart from the odd bit here or there, pressed against the glass first thing, pretty much a non-starter from the public's point of view. They're just so shy. You'd be lucky to see one out for sure. The female black rat snake, she's just gone in a little bit there, look. She's just tucked in, but she's loving life, and she's quite often up here on one of the ledges to catch even more sunshine. So certainly very happy outside in that old aquaria. Few insects about. It's actually the first bit of summer. I think summer's come back for a couple of days, but worst insect year ever, or rather for a very long time here in the UK. Overcast days and cold temperatures at day and night. Very poor show. Last year was absolutely buzzing at this time of the morning. Naturalised some slow worms. Sorry about that. Look at that. So they're in my compost heap. There's a couple of my gravid females in there, and I'm probably going to naturalise all but a pair that I can handle for children to learn about at school. It's probably going to naturalise them. This is such good habitat here for them. A bullsnake shed his skin. He was shedding yesterday. I'm going to put some footage on of him. A friend of mine, Chris, and his kids were here for the weekend on Saturday opening, and they got to see him going through his old shed cycle, as did a lot of our customers, and all of them told me, because we actually had a 2 o'clock snake talk, those that saw him shedding his skin were in awe. They were like, I've never seen anything like it before. And this is what it's all about, getting snakes and reptiles in front of the public in a way that makes them feel not only safe and happy, but massively interested. So in here we've got a couple of viperines this morning out sunbathing, just catching some rays. And this is how I feed them. These are the natrix, the other natrix are grass snakes in here. An open sort of plant tray there, that's about 8 inches. It looks bigger down here. The slugs have finished off the slops from last night. I mix in lancefish and trout and salmon, and either of the fish really, with chick thigh, adult mice soaked in the juices, pinkies and rat pups. So a smorgasbord in there. It all smells a bit fishy, and not long after I've set it down there with a pair of long handled litter pickers, they come out and they feast. So this is sort of chest height here. There's no way in and out, because I just thought it's just another crack or niche for animals to escape. I literally put light aluminium step ladders up either side. I climb in, as I will do later, to get the weeds down in there. Those docks have gone a bit mad for sure. Don't want them in there, left self set. But in here, guys, we're so close. So Bolly's going to have to come out, as are the pool frogs at the moment, because they'll eat my new inhabitants. I think, I'm not going to name any names yet, but someone's got me a clutch of sand lizards hatching. He said I can have them all. So we're going to retrim this, make sure the hibernaculum is all good under there, pile up the sand a bit more on the mound there, and hopefully this is going to be housing the actual animals it was set up to house. A colony of sand lizards, something to really get the public interested in. Rare and unusual really, and beautiful British reptiles. So most of my frog tadpoles have metamorphosed. Oscar, our weekend lad, he's been netting them out and releasing them in the pond. In here, the fire salamanders, well, I've seen them out once on a really rainy day. Of course, they're very nocturnal. They looked good when I last saw them. Let's hope they're still thriving. Roxy the fox loves sunbathing as much as most reptiles. I've said this many times, a lot of very nocturnal animals such as toads and owls, they love to catch the morning sunshine. Even Roxy here. The lights haven't switched on yet, but I'll put some footage on of these aesculapian snakes. The male was vigorously trying to mate with this female who, to be honest, I think still too young and too small, but he certainly was doing his best in a rather violent way. So I'll put that footage on now. Quite interesting, because these are the most chilled out, soft, almost you'd think they're vegetarian. They're that kind of placid, but not when it comes to breeding. Common toads, great addition here. Had these guys since they were tadpoles. There's several in here, and these are great. Very sort of, I can get these out so the public can meet them face to face. You gotta love a common toad. What a beautiful, beautiful set of eyes and a beautiful animal indeed. Look at that. Hungry false water cobras are so damn quick, and they've got some sharp old teeth. It's about the 5th time she's done that in my life, or her life, but she's a good girl really. Summer's turned into summer for a day. It's actually too hot for a lot of the stuff. Wow, it's a bit out there. So, I'm going to top up the little compost heap there of grass. There's a few bits and bobs in here, it's certainly gravid. Not so much that one, there's a couple of really fat viperines and a couple of really fat big female grass snakes. Whether summer will do anything, but I'm going to make a nest area there. They can choose what they do, see what happens in there, see if it's warm enough to even hatch a reptile egg this summer. So this guy's coming out today, something not accounted for. So this guy had a bad shed, this black rat snake. He's an albino, he's big. he had a bad shed, and he never does, and it's obviously humid and damp in there. He's got mud on his back, sandy mud on his back where he goes down, I think at night, over into the rock pile. But we soaked him and peeled off his shed along his back, and along there on his tail, it actually bled. It actually sort of took the top layer of skin off. Not scale rot, absolutely not scale rot. Do you know what I think? A bit like a pig. Being an albino, he's just got no UV protection, and he's actually got sunburn, and it's affected his skin. So he's coming out today, despite the rubbish weather. We have had some sun. Something I'd not thought of keeping reptiles outdoors is colour morphs, certainly albinos with no skin pigment. They probably are going to get sunburn, aren't they? Almost. Now I've thought about it, it's probably an obvious thing that's going to happen. Worth thinking about, I guess, with colour morphs in captivity with a full range of UV lighting. Certainly for animals that have full spectrum, or, you know, bearded dragon, high UV content. Is it good for that sort of skin? There's a pool frog there, look. So a few months ago, the Asian water monitor pulled off one of the air vents, a small air vent. I bought this vivarium fully assembled, and I thought, blimey heck, they're not even glued in. But they had been, just a little bit of glue. And he was gone for months. I was feeding him, watering him, and he lived free in the reptile room, and always managed to get to an inaccessible area when I walked in the room. Until one day, he fell asleep with his tail on show. Their tails don't pull off, and I managed to extract him. And now, for months, or a couple of months, he's been back in his house, growing so big, and I really sealed on that air vent thinking, you know, it's stuck on properly now, and it'll be too fat to get out of that hole anyway. Well, it turns out these things are as clever as people say they are. There's no way that's fell off. There's no way it's a random, I'll push my nose at that like a snake would. I'll push through, oh, there's a gap I can get through. He's remembered, and he's worked on that with his claws, and he's pulled it off. So they all need screwing on. Yeah, the next time I retrieve him and catch him, I can't believe he fitted through that hole, but he did. I can see him right now, but I've got to take the whole room to bits to get to him, by which time he'll have moved to an even more inaccessible part of the room. So I shall now feed and water him as before, wild and free, in the reptile room, until he makes a mistake. Like me. Nice sight this morning. False water coppers have all hatched. Have a quick peek, but they're going to explode in the hypo now. If you're in the UK and you want a really, look at that, affordable baby false water cobra, then you know what you're doing. Squish, squish, and you know what you're doing. Get your head in. I'd say message me pretty soon, but beautiful normals and a couple of hypos in there. Beautiful. I've produced black rat snakes. This is the last one to hatch. I'll show you the others a bit later on. Look at that. So I've got some white-sided ones. I don't know, the dad's an albino, whatever. I don't know morphs at all. I'm not that interested in them. I do prefer natural types, but there's a couple of unusual ones that look sort of white-sided for now, as well as some beautiful little baby normal looking black rat snakes. So we'll get him out and I'll show you the rest later. 4 years in, and the smallest aesculapian snake is finally eating a big meal rather than a few small rat pups or fluffs. It's finally eating a mouse. If it actually does that, more likely to grow a bit quicker than it has in the last 4 years. I really thought it'd be the melanistic one. It actually ate decent sized mouse. He's just peed out on mouse fluffs, but they're both fed well. But yeah, like a python, look at that. Well, he's back now after getting through the ceiling in the reptile room where the services go through, getting into the roof space, squeezing out under the tiles and getting outside. Alerted by a neighbour who said he was watching him garden all afternoon. And I said, "Oh, John, didn't you grab him or get him in a bucket?" He went, "Oh, I didn't know what to do." He said he just watched me gardening all day. Anyway, while we were talking at dusk, I noticed his tail hanging out the bottom of my drain pipe from the guttering. No escape for him there. He's back in custody for the second time, with an awful lot of modifications to those dodgy air vents indeed. When he gets bigger, he's got a huge house to move into, but certainly not until he's got a bit bigger yet. And we'll be doing a story all about him very soon, but Asian water monitors, cleverer than any snake, that's for sure. So Jackie's checking the hive. Have a little look. Jackie's checking the hive. Tom's in there. Jackie's in there. It's all looking good. We're a bit weird. There's a lot more bees than we started with. There's plenty of stores, but not a lot of brood. No queen cells. I'm just hoping things are okay.